Imagine this. You sit down at your desk, you've got your laptop open, coffee in hand, and you tell yourself, okay, time to get serious. I'm going to crush this task right now. But 2 hours later, you're somehow an expert on raccoons doing parkour, you've reorganized your entire Spotify playlist, and your actual work? Still untouched. Sound familiar? Don't worry, you're not broken. You're human. And there's a sneaky little brain chemical pulling the strings behind the scenes. It's called dopamine. And today, we're going to expose how dopamine tricks your brain into procrastination, why you keep falling into the same cycle of delay, and most importantly, how to break free. Here's the crazy part. Procrastination isn't about being lazy. In fact, your brain thinks it's being smart. Dopamine, the chemical that makes you chase rewards, loves instant gratification. So when you face a big, uncomfortable task, your brain starts scanning for easier, faster rewards. Scrolling TikTok, checking Instagram, watching just one YouTube video. That's dopamine, hijacking your motivation system. But here's the truth no one tells you. You can't fight dopamine with willpower alone. Willpower is like a muscle, it gets tired. But dopamine? It's always on. The good news is, once you understand how this chemical works, you can use it to your advantage. And by the end of this video, you'll know how to stop procrastination before it even starts. So buckle up, because we're about to dive into the hidden science of procrastination. And trust me, once you see how dopamine is playing you, you'll never look at your 5 more minutes on my phone excuse the same way again. Here's where things get real. To understand procrastination, you've got to understand dopamine's favorite game, the anticipation loop. Dopamine isn't about the reward itself. It's about the anticipation of the reward. That's why checking your notifications feels addictive. Your brain is chasing the possibility of a hit, not the actual hit itself. Now, think about that big project you've been putting off. Your brain looks at it and says, reward is far away, effort is high. Boring. Not worth it. But when you see a funny video pop up on your feed, instant reward, zero effort. Boom. Dopamine says, do this instead. And before you know it, you've lost hours. Scientists call this temporal discounting. Basically, your brain undervalues long-term rewards and overvalues short-term ones. That's why studying for your future career feels impossible compared to watching one more episode of your favorite show. Your brain literally cheats you out of your own future for a quick hit of pleasure. But here's the twist. Dopamine isn't bad. It's the same chemical that pushes inventors to innovate, athletes to train, and artists to create. Without dopamine, you wouldn't chase goals at all. The problem is when it gets hijacked by low-value, instant gratification. Let me ask you this. How many times have you said, I'll start tomorrow? And how many tomorrows have already passed? That's not laziness, it's dopamine's trap. And until you know how to outsmart it, you'll keep falling into the same loop. So how do we break it? That's where the real power comes in, and that's what we're about to dive into next. And here's the part you've been waiting for. How do we actually stop dopamine from tricking us into procrastination? First, we need to change how we see dopamine. It's not some evil chemical that wants to ruin your life. In fact, dopamine is the reason you even chase goals at all. The trick is learning how to guide it instead of letting it run wild. One of the most powerful hacks is breaking tasks into ridiculously small steps. Why? Because dopamine loves progress. If you tell yourself, I'm going to write an entire essay, your brain screams, too big, too much effort, and shuts down. But if you tell yourself, I'm just going to write one sentence, suddenly the resistance disappears. And once you start, dopamine gives you a little hit that keeps you going. Another way is to gamify your work. Ever wonder why you can spend hours playing video games but can't sit for 20 minutes to do your assignment? Games are designed with constant rewards, points, levels, achievements. You can create the same system for yourself. Give yourself mini rewards when you complete small chunks of work. Your brain will start associating productivity with pleasure. But here's the real kicker. You need to control your environment. If your phone is sitting next to you, buzzing with notifications, dopamine will always chase the easier reward. It's like trying to diet with a plate of fresh brownies sitting right in front of you. You don't win that battle. The smartest move is to remove the temptation completely. Put your phone in another room, block the distracting websites, and make the reward of staying focused easier than the reward of procrastinating. Now, let's get personal for a moment. Think about the last time you procrastinated on something important. Maybe it was a big project. Maybe it was sending an email. Maybe it was even starting a workout routine. You told yourself, I'll do it later. But deep down, you knew that was just dopamine chasing comfort. Now imagine how different things would be if you had a simple system to break through that trap. If, instead of delaying, you had a way to act immediately and build momentum. That's not just productivity, that's freedom. Here's a practical tool you can use starting today. The dopamine swap. When you feel the urge to procrastinate, say scrolling social media, swap it with a quick burst of action toward your real goal. For example, instead of opening TikTok, open your Notes app and write one sentence of your project. Instead of binge watching, do 2 minutes of the task you're avoiding. It sounds tiny, but that swap retrains your brain to link dopamine with meaningful progress, not empty distractions. And here's the bigger truth. Procrastination isn't about laziness. It's about mismanaged dopamine. When you understand that, you stop beating yourself up and start working with your brain instead of against it. You realize it's not about having superhuman willpower. It's about designing your environment and habits so that dopamine works for you, not against you. So, the next time you catch yourself stuck in that endless loop of, I'll start later, remember this. It's not that you can't focus, it's that your brain is chasing the wrong rewards. Shift the rewards, shrink the steps, and suddenly procrastination loses its power. If this clicked for you, and you're ready to rewire your brain for focus, confidence, and action, make sure you subscribe to Reality Flux. Because here, we take the science of the mind and turn it into practical tools you can use every single day. So, don't wait. Break the loop. Take one small step right now. Even if it's just clicking that subscribe button, your future self will thank you.